Good evening, everybody, or good afternoon, or good morning, depending which part of the world you are from, and welcome to the Council of Nerds live stream. I think we're calling it that. I don't know. It's still out there for people to decide. Our
I like
topics
it.
today, we are going to be covering our Game of the Year editions Asinine, the Mortal Kombat movie that's due out in 2021, Venom Island the comic, Cyberpunk saying that down the line they're going to introduce multiplayer, and the awesome show The Boys, which is on Amazon Prime if you want to go watch it. Or anyway, welcome to the stream, and let's get this shit on the road. So we are going to start with, of course, the Mortal Kombat movie. No, we're not. We're going to talk about Game of the Year editions and whether they're stupid. And I'm going to start off by saying no. I like Game of the Year editions personally for games, especially that come with annoying like amounts of DLC and unlockable shit. So a prime example for all the Batman games, all the whole trilogy. I've only ever bought them when they were Game of Year editions because it came with all the character unlocks, all the costume unlocks, all the DLC, and all for the lovely, lovely low price of like £15 to £20. So I personally like them mainly because it's been mostly Batman that I've bought, and I think it was Army of Two was one of them, and a couple of other games. So I'm okay with them, but I'll put it to the panel and get what their opinions are on Game of the Year. So we'll move to Zam. What are your thoughts on the Game of the Year stuff?
Just Game of the Year editions of just all types of games.
Yeah.
I no longer invest in that sort of stuff. I yearly buy FIFA, for instance, and I'm just happy just getting a bog standard FIFA. I don't care about all this Ultimate Edition. I'm very happy that I personally never got involved in that. My gaming, how I like to play my games is co-op multiplayer, and that's what I get from FIFA. Now, as you know, all I do is pro clubs, which basically requires me to play as one person, and other people play as one person, and we all get together and try to score a goal. That's how I like playing my game, and getting Game of the Year edition doesn't improve on that particular factor, so I never ever get it. Sometimes if a Game of the Year edition has lots of DLC for a particular game, for instance, Spider-Man, I'm not sure if I got a Game of the Year edition of that, but there was DLC to come with it, and the game is fantastic. It is a single player game, and I wanted to squeeze out every bit I could out of that particular game, and I'm happy I got the DLC. I just wish there was more. Really, that's all I have to say on that. I haven't got much more. I'm not really into it. I'm not a young man anymore. It really upsets me when I hear all these people, like Randy and shit, pre-ordering Game of the Year editions and fuck knows what. Those, it does bug me. I just wish there was one copy of a particular game instead of all these variations. I know I'm going on a bit of a tangent here, more than just Game of the Year edition, but that's how I pretty much feel. I just, I'm a bit old school like that. That's all I have to say.
Okay, cool. Christine or Jason?
I can go.
Yeah, go.
Yeah, Jason, go for it.
So with the Game of the Year editions, I mean, some of them I feel like they are pretty asinine. I mean, a lot of people who are that dedicated to a game would probably have already bought it. I mean, I can't say much because I didn't buy the first Arkham Asylum game until the Game of the Year edition came out, and then all the bonuses were on it. So I'm somewhat of a hypocrite, but that's really the only Game of the Year edition I've ever bought. So, I mean, I guess it's if you're really into that game, I guess it only depends on, if you're willing to pay the $20 or however many pounds that is. And, with Brexit, £2 is like worth what, like $50 now or something?
Yeah, about that, yeah.
But so, I mean, just with the game, I think it's a nice place to get everything if you're like late to the game, but literally late to the game. But I also think that there is a point where you're kind of like, okay, like if the game just came out like a couple months ago, and then they have a Game of the Year edition coming out like a couple months later. I don't know. I mean, if it just seems like it's a bit asinine.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm trying not to repeat myself, but that's really the only point I have on it.
Okay, that's cool. Christine?
Okay.
Everything seems to be Game of the Year. Just want to put
So here's the thing. I have mixed feelings about it. Like, they call it Game of the Year edition, but they put it out on every kind of fucking game, doesn't matter what kind of game it is. So, okay, for example, for games like Skyrim or like The Witcher or things that have big DLCs, Game of the Year editions are actually pretty damn good for new people to actually buy the game and have everything together in a better price. But
Yeah,
then
I
you
agree
see
with that
every
part of
other
it.
game having a Game of the Year edition. Like, bitch, did you even sell as much?
Right.
Like, why? So I'm like somewhere in the middle. I think it's a good thing for games that are actually good and are worth to buy as a pack. But let's keep it real. Like, if you have a game that's like, I don't know. Give me an example of one that wasn't as good that got a Game of the Year edition. I don't know, Fallout 4, for example. Fuck Fallout
Yeah.
4. Like, fuck it. Fuck it in
Now,
the
what did it
ass with
offer
a
as the Game of the
fucking
Year?
leaf blower
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
it
sorry,
was
Jason,
like
for
a
the
Game of the
image
Year
there.
edition. I don't even know if it offered much else to it. Shadows of Mordor was another game I got that was Game of the Year edition. Again, it was cheap and it had everything in it. There wasn't really much
Was it the
extra to
first or the
offer, but
second game of the series?
now the first. I'm
Okay,
not
yeah,
touching
yeah,
the
yeah,
second one.
yeah. I got that one too. I don't have the second one.
Yeah, the second one they just fucked it up. So
I think Game
I
of the
thought-
Year editions, like, if we're being legit here, okay? And apologies to Mr. Jason for what I'm about to say. Game of the Year editions are perfect for pirates.
yeah, because they have everything on
Yes.
there.
Because
Yeah.
you have pirated a game, you like it, then you get a chance to actually buy it, this is what you get.
Yeah.
I know
Don't
you
worry,
don't
Jason,
like.
I
I know
can't
you don't
pirate
like
games.
it. I know you don't like it, but we're being real here. Like, they had 100% spilling the tea. How things are. This is how it is. Real world talk.
Yeah, I mean that's the reality of it, especially for PC gaming. Yeah, gaming I don't really pirate because I just find games are cheap anyway. You can get them for dirt cheap.
there's
But
there's only
TV
there's
shows
only one thing that I consistently and intentionally pirate, and that's EA.
yeah, fuck EA.
Yeah, I'm making a point to pirate
Yeah,
EA.
fuck EA. Fuck them, Bethesda, Activision. Pirate them all day long. Fuck them.
Fuck
I
I
Activision.
got a
I'm
game,
not even
game
playing
of
their
the Year
games.
edition of is it Sleeping Dogs for £4.99, and that was one of the best investments I ever made.
Sleeping
Investments.
What a game.
It had everything, all the DLC, the lot, ram-packed.
Yeah, it was a great game.
Ooh, yes. Okay, so Jason brings a really good point here. Let's talk about what games from the old days should get a Game of the Year edition. Fucking A. Yes. I'm into that.
What?
Well, sorry,
I
say that,
mean,
repeat the question again.
what classic games should get Game of the Year edition?
But
And to be
I don't
honest
even
with
know.
you, classic
They might
games
already have it.
have a lot of if we're talking classic games, and we're only going to be talking PS3 era, Xbox 360 era, because the classic ones before that, unless we're talking some good old classic PC games with expansion passes,
yes.
but they used to do like Command and Conquer, for example. They used to do like special edition, not special edition, but it wasn't Game of the Year or something else they called it, where it came with all the expansions and that. So prior to that, I don't know. I put it to the rest of you.
Neverwinter
really don't
Nights,
know, I've got to be
Neverwinter
honest.
Nights 2.
I really, I really don't know, but I have to do my research. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, the games I might throw out probably already have a Game of the Year edition. And right now, at the top of my head, I can't think of jack shit. I really can't. I mean, it's a really hot, not hot
To
topic,
be
but
fair, you're half asleep, so.
come back to
Yeah.
me. Come back to me.
But
Like
yeah,
Jason.
I'd say
You've got
Neverwinter
Christine,
Nights
right.
too. Although
And
people
also-
hate it, but it's one of the first games that I really got into deep and got into modding, and it's actually, even though I had played D&D before, I learned the rules about D&D by playing Neverwinter Nights 2. So, respect to that game. It does have an expansion, so it could get a,
Game of the Year.
a game of the year, and it's actually playable still. Like it's, I mean, okay, it's an isometric RPG kind of game. It's not like the more action-based, fast-paced ones, but
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's fair enough. Jason?
I don't know. I mean, I always think about the classic RPGs, but when I was bringing that topic up, I was also thinking about like maybe games that could use an expansion also, like if they had a Game of the Year edition, but then they expanded on it. But like they don't totally remaster it. Like it's not like remastered, but they add to it. Kind of like Final Fantasy has done that a lot, where they've gone back and redone their very old games, but then they've added a bunch of content into it, but kind of kept it the same, game. So I mean, I was thinking like the old Mortal Kombats, or oh god, I don't know, like some of the old arcade style X-Men games would have been fun. Like you can add additional characters that you can play as in there.
That is brilliant. That is, yes.
Old style Mortal Kombat with up-to-date characters. Yeah.
And that, yes. Mortal Kombat, or the old X-Men arcade game, or like Street Fighter 2, but with all like modern characters kind of thing. Yeah, it works great with
Marvel vs. Capcom was the dog's bollocks, mate.
Yeah,
but I'm talking about keeping these great games, like the format the same. Like don't mess with the gameplay, don't mess with the mechanics. Just throw new people in there.
That's
do the same. If these are mechanics that everybody loves, don't try to improve them. Don't throw like super moves in there and all this stuff in there. Be like, no, we're just throwing additional characters, additional levels, additional content. Stuff like that. Like, I don't know. And when I brought it up, I was just kind of thinking about that. I'm like,
I hear
like
you,
fighting
mate.
games with like more characters, because back then you could only have like 8 to 10 characters.
Yeah, that does make sense. That does make sense.
Yeah,
however,
I like that.
However,
Kind of retcon. Sorry,
what I want to see is, I really want to see actual remakes of old games, like updated to today. Like, I would like to see, honestly, like the Gabriel Knight series, like updated to today. I'd like to see the old Vampire the Masquerade games. I'd like to see the old RPGs brought to the today, but with the old fucking stories, because nowadays nobody can write a story for shit. Okay.
No, they really can't.
Or I don't know if that's
Pilgrimage
nostalgia or whatever, but it's very hard for me to find a good fucking story. Like, okay,
You mean like
The
a
Witcher
full-on
3,
remastered?
Ace, all expansion, Ace. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I played the Kingdom Come Deliverance. Story was okay-ish. The end was underwhelming. Very underwhelming.
Yeah.
I've actually come up with something, by the way.
Dragon Age, okay story. Like the last Dragon Age game, like the ending of the DLC was the worst fucking ending that I've ever experienced in my fucking life, man.
As far as I'm
Like,
concerned,
seriously.
BioWare can go suck it.
I was thinking Silent Hill 2 could do with an update, a Game of the Year edition. It's a fantastic, arguably for me, the best horror game I've ever played. And I would like to see, an update, maybe some tweaks and add some new shit in, improve the gameplay a little bit here and there, the mechanics. Sorry?
Just look at Resident Evil 2. What a brilliant remaster that was.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII looks to be an amazing remaster. The only pisser is that it's going to be episodic releases, and that's just fucking annoys me with Square Enix. They did that with the Hitman games.
They love doing that shit, don't they?
Frustrating.
God damn it.
So I'd like to see like Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast remastered with extra added like planets and levels. I'd love
Oh,
that.
you brought something up that really irks my shit. The
What was?
periodic fucking releases.
Oh yeah,
Like, okay,
yeah,
Telltale Games is a big fucking culprit here. Of course, they're dead now, but someone will revive them. I heard. I don't know, man. And this other I don't remember which company that made the Life is Strange. That also
yeah,
like bitch. That's way too much money for the
yeah. I
game of
mean
the
that one,
like. Okay, it was a
that
good
one.
game. I'll give you that. It was a good game,
Yeah,
but
we don't want to go off on a tangent here, so we can leave that one
yeah.
for top 10 annoying things that game developers do. We
Oh
can put that
yeah,
in.
we need to get on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
So
it's been like 15 minutes, so we can move on to the next topic if everyone's all right with that.
Please do.
yeah,
Yeah, okay, and that brings us to is
Mortal
it
Kombat
Mor-
movie.
Mortal Kombat movie. So looking in, we have a first-time director and a
Oh god.
mediocre writer. So I'm guessing that this film is just going to be brain dead, kiddified garbage. I don't even know if it's going to go for an R-rated release or not. The cast is very much like C and D listers, which is fine. I'm never that fussed about who plays in the film. It's always about how well it's written, how well it's directed. Personally, I don't have any hope for this film, but I want it to be good.
I
I
don't have
want
any
it.
interest for it either.
No, yeah, you know, if there was more being put behind it, I'd be more up for it. But I hope it's a surprise hit. Like it just comes out and everyone's like, "Ooh," like the original Mortal Kombat film. That was brilliant for its day. Um, it's
Yeah,
still the
but
best.
come on.
It was
Well,
great for its day. It
I,
was fantastic. It did its
I
job.
think it's cult as fuck. I don't think it's a good movie. I think it's cult as fuck.
You know nothing. Shut up.
I have no idea about
Hey,
this
I
movie
love
at
cult
all. But
shit,
what you
man.
described doesn't give me any hope for this shit at all. Doesn't give me
Exactly.
any hope at all. It's going to be. I mean, initially, Mortal Kombat movie, great. Then you telling me all this shit, low budget, no fucking cast, first time director. Oh fuck me, it's going to be an absolute disaster. I'm really not looking forward to it. I predict this is going to be awful.
Yeah, Jason.
I mean, I think there's hope. I mean, you're probably right. It's probably just going to be a meh video game movie, but I really think that I think there's hope for this if they do it more in a Dragon Ball Z style, where it's like they focus on the fighting. And I'm not talking about in like the original movie version. I'm talking about like the tournament style. Like,
Yeah.
not like they don't need to go to all these different spectacle locations and everything like that. Like, I know that's kind of what Mortal Kombat does sometimes with the levels, but I feel like if they come out the gate with something more simple, we'll get more. Like, don't that you saw they will try to dive into the lore more, and look what we got. We got Mortal Kombat 2 or Annihilation or whatever it's called.
Exactly. Yeah.
Don't worry about the lore. If we want lore, let the fans tell you. If we just want a kick-ass fighting movie, that's what we need. And I mean, I feel like Mortal Kombat, the original one, was a product of its time. They didn't have that great, like, it was kind of, video game movies weren't taken seriously, obviously,
Yeah.
and
Of
the
course.
graphics were terrible and all that. So I think now we're at a point where we can actually take something like this seriously, and if we do it the right way, and if we start, like, as I said, I mean, the first one was just like, I think the heart was in the right place, but I think the direction and really the director was probably wrong.
Yeah,
I have
for
an
sure.
idea. I have an
Yeah, Paul
idea.
Thomas Anderson. I
Of
think it was Paul Thomas Anderson or something like
Yeah,
that.
Paul W.S. Anderson.
W.S.
Yeah,
Anderson.
I have an idea of how I would want this movie to be. Since it's a movie about a fighting game, I would like it to be some people playing the video game, and unbeknownst to them, the actual characters in the game are real and they're fighting it out for real.
Okay, Jumanji.
Don't ever,
Jumanji Combat.
ever. Yeah, Jumanji Combat.
Yes. I love that movie, by the way. I about the
I think they're missing
Jumanji
a trick
movie.
personally. They should be trying to make a series out of this, a proper series, because there's
They
so
did
many
do a series,
characters.
and it was
Yeah, I know
they
they've
did
done
the
it
series
before. I've heard they've
Rebirth.
done it before,
It
but
was all right.
they can really Games of Thrones a Mortal Kombat if they wanted to. I mean, there's so many characters and so many storylines you can
Why
make.
don't they
I
do the
mean,
same with
I really think they're
Tekken?
missing a trick. They're missing a trick big time.
And I mean, I
Yeah,
agree. Like,
yeah.
if you're gonna do a show, then get into the lore. If you're gonna do a
Yeah.
movie, you got to simplify it. If we want more lore, we've got to see you can deliver on Mortal Kombat. That's what I was kind of
Yeah.
saying. It's like, yeah, if you want lore,
Mhm.
though, if we get a show, because like if you guys remember the animated series back, and I haven't watched it in years, so I might go back and look at it and go, ugh. But I feel like if I remember correctly, I feel like that movie did a decent job at exploring some of the lore. Wasn't fantastic, but it was good enough where they were like, well, we're going to take some of the lore and we're actually going to take it seriously, and we're going to use these characters to their full potential. So, I mean, I'm probably 100% wrong when I go back and watch a series, but that's kind of my viewpoint on Mortal Kombat. It was like, yeah, show us a good fighting movie first.
I think you're spot on.
I didn't
Yeah,
realize that Mortal Kombat had lore.
It
Oh,
does.
it's
Yeah,
tons of
it
lore.
has lore.
They've got
Yeah, it has
tons of
lore.
lore. There's tons
But
of fucking video games.
storylines and time travel and you name it and gods and everything.
Which is why I
I
want
thought
to
it was
know.
just kicking
I really want
ass
to
and
know.
fatalities and
No,
finishing.
it's got like proper storylines and that. Don't ask me about them. I'm not.
There's so many characters,
up
though.
on
I
that,
mean,
but-
so many characters, and like when I say the Game of Thrones, with the situation with Liu Kang going from good to bad, back to good again, and vice
Yeah.
versa for certain characters too. And then you people who are considered secondary characters who became mainstays, and they had so much more story to them as well. And then they even introduced a next generation of characters with the offspring of some of the main characters. So yeah, I really, oh man, I would love a show. I really would. It's a shame
See, and
they're
the thing
doing
is,
this movie, but it's going to be Johnny Cage, Sonya Blade, all this shit again. It's going to be so
yeah.
crap.
compared to say back when it first launched in 2010, like Netflix and Amazon really hadn't, that kind of streaming wasn't like prevalent at the time.
Mhm.
So to your point, they would be better going down a TV series route. But
And
Jason,
adult orientated as well,
because they're doing the film, just keep it simple. Just keep it about the fighting and make it, if it's going to be R-rated, make it gory and make it funny and silly, and then you've got yourself an audience.
Well, and you can take something seriously and still be funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I think that's totally possible for them to have some humor in it, have some tongue in cheek, and still take the lore and everything seriously, so that everyone's on board with it.
And just keep some of the characters, a few core characters, then don't have to like shoehorn in this fucker in for 5 minutes just to eject him out of the scene again, which pays disrespect to a lot of the characters when they do stuff like that in these sort of films. So just keep it around a few core characters, give them all respect, ample time, and stuff like that. And then I'm happy to go with it. If they do anything different, it's just leaves a bad taste in my mouth just thinking about it.
Well, and here's the other thing is that I think, in the original Mortal Kombat, they kind of got into this whole sides thing. And that's not like, maybe in the lore, that's how it was. Like some people were working for Shang Tsung and some were working for Raiden. But why not just make it like a tournament? Like,
yeah, I agree. I like that.
Like you have Sub-Zero versus Scorpion, instead of them being on the same side. Like you have Luke Cage versus Sonya Blade. Like it's not just like, oh well, there's Shang Tsung's side and then there's Raiden's side. It's like, oh no, you're all in this. And I mean, I know probably the lore says it has to be
team up. So like Sonya and Jax, they're obviously going to team up, aren't they? If you put both of those characters in a movie.
Yeah.
I mean, just don't mean to throw a spanner in the works. But I do like the idea of making it like a blood sport, saying individuals, all fighting each other and shit like that. I want to see some fatalities, by the way, proper fatalities.
Well, this is it. This is why you don't kind of start off with all the core characters. You have a couple of the mid-tier, low-level characters, because then you can just fatality the fuck out of them and not have to worry about trying to retcon them in or some shit like that. So yeah, yeah, I think just keep it like a tournament, nice and simple. No one, it's not like everyone's on one side and everyone's on the other side. Everyone's just like, hey, I'm here to win this fucking tournament. Let's do this kind of thing.
I just believe I'm not going to get what I want. So, but at least I'm expecting the worst. Maybe I'll like it if I go with that mindset. Who knows?
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. Go in with the worst
Yeah,
intentions, and you should be pleasantly surprised.
yeah.
You know. Uh, yeah. Okay. On to the next one. Which is I don't know why I screwed all the way down. I think is it the Venom comic?
It's
Yep.
already on the screen, dude.
What screen?
Because I'm a pro.
Venom Island.
Oh yes, there you go. Well, Jason, this one's on you.
Okay, so there was a preview for a comic book coming out last week, and and they're talking about a Venom Island. So I just kind of wanted, like, if you guys like outside of comic books, I'm not even talking like as an expectation for a comic book, it's probably going to be garbage. They're probably going to try to get the Avengers involved. It's probably going to be some stupid randomo. Like, this is why I hate when they do big crossover events like this, because they try to cram as many Avengers in as possible, as many name stays as possible. But what I want for this is I want it to get Venom characters and maybe some Spider-Man characters, and they're just like they're on an island. They have to survive all these symbiotes. Like, we've seen like the invasion of symbiotes. We've seen absolute carnage. We've seen all of these comic books that are just like world ending. But when you bring it down to when you bring it down to like an island, and you're like, well, these people get put on the island, and now you've got symbiotes after them. Like, I think it's just going to be like a ton of fun, like trying to survive symbiotes, whether they're inhabiting people or merged with people or not. So I just think it'll be a lot of fun. And I don't care if Venom's the main character. I don't care if Carnage is like, none of that matters. I just think we need a fun, romp around, like, and I mean, maybe grab some random characters. Like, I don't even know, like Blackhawk or something. I don't know. I don't even know if he's still alive in the comic books. He is the first random person that just came into my mind. But like maybe just
the whole symbiote island.
Forgive me, Roberto, but this Venom Island thing, this is something Sony's got in the pipeline to come out as a film or a TV series.
No, this is a comic book.
A comic book. Okay, so fair enough. And it's basically about an island of symbiotes. Sorry?
I think it's the next big crossover with, they're going to stick everybody on an island and they're all symbiote, and I hate it when...
an event.
I think it is an event. Yeah, what I was reading, like, it was an event.
So it's going to have.
That's why I was saying it's like, no, that's too much.
All you need on there is bloody Siren or Banshee, and it's game over, man. The symbiotes are done.
Yeah, exactly. And it'll probably be more like in the horror sense that once somebody's taken over by a symbiote, then they become the person they've run away from.
Thing.
Well, and the other thing, I mean, they did a good job with the Venom Inc. storyline back a year or two ago, where it was like the symbiotes kind of took over mob bosses, and then they became just like a mob of people. Like, they weren't like these big old symbiotes and stuff. Like, all they had was like they covered people's faces, but they were like symbiote faces, but that's all they covered. And they were like a mob, and I thought it was great. I'm just like, that's so unconventionally outside the box. I loved it. And it was a Spider-Man thing. It wasn't like a universe-spanning thing. It wasn't a world-spanning thing. It was just like, they're like, yeah, we're sick and tired, and we're going to take over these mobsters, and we're just going to do what we want to do and kill who we want to kill. And, I just thought it was a lot of fun. It was a pretty contained story, which is what I enjoyed about it the most.
Okay. It sounds good, actually. I might check it out.
I know very little about it, but if they ever made something like this into a film, I'm really worried that they would ruin the fuck out of it. You can imagine it being some sort of version of Predator, but with symbiotes, and it just, oh god, I can imagine. Yeah, I mean, the concept of it feels a bit weird in a way. I almost think of Hunger Games, but with symbiotes as well. When you talk to them about being stranded on islands, like Fortnite with symbiotes. That's what's going through my mind right now when you talk about Venom Island. It could be done really well if they do the material right, but it can also be done really poorly. I can imagine it being done really poorly because that's what most people do in superhero films. Actually, I'm going on a tangent rant now, so I apologize. I'm going to shut up.
No, but I mean, you're right. I mean, in the comic books, it could be a hot garbage mess. I mean, but there are so many variants on the symbiotes nowadays that it's just, I mean, they could do it well. I mean, they could do it well. It could be a lot of fun. It could be, you know, a nice action adventure comic. But I just feel like they're going to bloat it and they're going to make it into this big old thing that does that they're going to have to do. And I don't know. I mean, I just thought it would be interesting to try to bring it up and what your guys' thoughts on, even if you don't read comic books, like what your thoughts on like this kind of scenario would be, you know, if they did this either in a movie or in a comic book or anything. So, video game might be fun though. Venom Island, the
I
video
think,
game.
yeah. I mean, in terms of what to expect, it might just end up being like, you know, a symbiote lands on an island. It might not necessarily be Venom himself. It might just be called Venom Island, but it might just be, well, he will obviously be in it, but it might just be like, you know, symbiote just takes over a whole island, and you know, Avengers or whoever have to like go and help this island of people that have been zombified, maybe. Um, I really
Well,
don't know.
I think
I've had a
it's
chance to digest some of this actually. Now I've had a chance to think, and I just remember what the symbiote once was. It was basically something that initially had to attach itself to Spider-Man to be what it ends up being, you know, in Venom. You know, without that connection to Spider-Man's DNA, who knows what it would have been. But that's what I remember it as. And it's a shame now it's going to all these fucking places where it doesn't really necessarily need Spider-Man to be involved. And I miss that connection, to tell you the truth.
well, I think this would make like a great Thunderbolts comic book. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
you know,
Right.
like Thunder, yeah, like you know the
The Red Hulk
Thunderbolts.
coming in there sorting shit out. You could do it as an alternative universe thing. If they did an alternative universe thing,
There
you
is
know,
no
a what if
anymore.
scenario, I'm all with it, mate.
No,
Yeah.
because then if you do an alternate universe, you can just get the whole world involved, and it's that's a what if. I mean, and those are I don't know. I think that this would be a nice contained story. You get the Thunderbolts involved or something like that. Like it doesn't have to be this like massive crossover between you
Yeah,
know
it doesn't have
Avengers
to
and
have
all that.
like everyone in it. You know, just
Yeah,
a small group of people going there to fix the mess.
I would have to look into the comics to really understand this. I know very little, so yeah,
Yeah.
that's all I can
Speaking
really
of
say on that.
Spider-Man and Venom and all of that, it's only. Have you read? Have you been reading the Spider-Man life stories at all, Jason?
the Spider-Man what?
Life stories. So basically, what that is, for those who don't know, it's basically since the conception of Spider-Man, which I think it was either 1962 or 1965, around that era. So each comic book is a decade in the life of Spider-Man. So the first one takes place around about the time where he's bitten, and the next one is in the 70s, but he's also like growing along like with it. So you get to the last comic book, he's obviously like in his late 50s or early 60s, and things like that. And it's very interesting. I enjoyed the concept of it. My only issue with it, and it's a minor issue, is that one issue of that comic was that decade, when I would have liked maybe 2 or 3 issues to cover that one decade. Because it just, when it gets to like issue 3 onwards, it just feels really rushed. They're just like rushing through it. So, seeing as we're on the topic of comic books, if you haven't read it, do read it. It is interesting, but I felt they could have expanded on it more. So, if they do like a similar one with X-Men, then doing one comic book per decade is stupid.
One comic book per decade.
One,
Please.
not like once every day, but yeah, one comic book covers the 60s, and then the next comic book they're released like every 2 weeks. But like the next one was just did the 70s, and then the next one did the 80s, and it just
Fair enough. Yeah, I get you what you mean now.
felt like rushed. So you get
I
to
feel
the
like
next book, and it's 10 years later, and it's just like, well, what the hell just happened? What's going on? And yeah,
I feel like if they did, like giant sized issues for those, I feel like they would probably feel a lot,
with that, yeah,
or even just kind of like a volume, like you know,
yeah,
instead, but yeah, you know, have like X Men Life, and then like volume 80s, you know, and volume
yeah.
90s. like try to make it a little bit different like that, and just do like volumes and like make it, like what you're saying is kind of like, maybe everything a little bit more condensed, but it doesn't feel as rushed because you actually have like 4 or 5 issues, but it's in an actual volume. And I know that they'll probably want some comics, but something like that sounds like it would be much better in a
Definitely would,
a
because
volume format.
this one was doing it, and it was only like 32 pages long.
Yeah.
And it just felt really rushed, but it was such a good idea. Like, started off, the first 2 issues started off really well. Like the series was also the first issue was excellent because it had a whole load of things in there of conflict with Spider-Man. Should he go to Vietnam? Should he just carry on with his studies? Flash goes off to Vietnam, all this kind of stuff. So it was really like, it started off really well, and then after that, it just felt really like rushed. And so if they do the X-Men one, then yeah, I they definitely need, like you say, just longer giant issue volumes.
So you're saying that like this is if Spider-Man's life progressed at the same rate as us.
Us,
So like
yeah.
so like at this point technically he would be in his like 60s or something like that. Yeah, so it's not like the actual comic books where he's like in his late 20s, early 30s and
Yeah, exactly.
been,
So
like,
he
6
is
years later.
aged. He's aged through the decades. So in the 1960s, he's like 16 years old. Then it takes place 10 years later when he's 20, in his 20s, then in his 30s. And then it's quite interesting as well because obviously a lot of the villains were a lot older. So as you get to the latter years, they've died, they've passed away from old age, or and things like that. And so it's quite interesting who they use as it goes along. But it was just felt rushed as it
So
progressed.
the Vulture died before the second issue then, I take it.
The Vulture, I don't think he was in the first issue. The first issue concentrated on Norman Osborn and Peter's conflict with Flash Thompson. So it was like Norman Osborn and obviously Harry Osborn and things like that. And then the second one, I can't even remember if the Vulture was in it or not.
I was just saying, like, he's old, so if he actually aged with like the comic books, he'd be dead by the second one.
He'd be dead. Yeah, he'd be dust by the second one. Yeah, if he was. Yeah, so it's like that. And then I think the second one had like Doc Ock. It's interesting because there's Tony Stark's in there, Reed Richards in there, Steve Rogers is in there. So obviously, the very last issue, or the second from last issue, takes place in 2006. So that's the time of Civil War, and they've aged. Everyone's like a lot older. So basically, Civil War is like people complain like it's just a bunch of old men fighting each other. This kind of shit. So that was quite. I enjoyed the issue 5 was really good because it covers that. And then the last issue has like a young Miles Morales, the kid, the Spider-Man's kids. They also have like powers and things like that. So I mean, do give it a read, but it just would have been like one of the best things ever if it was just fleshed out. So okay, on to the next one. Which, all right, Christine.
It's all you, girl.
Bitch, I'm a fucking pro.
You are a fucking pro.
Hey.
Stop fluffing your cock and get on with it.
What am I going to fucking announce that shit? I
This
don't
is
know,
your
man.
thing.
I didn't even read the whole fucking article. I just know that they're looking for peeps to help out with the multiplayer that is going to come out later on in the game, after the game is out and after the expansions are out.
Yeah. So we're looking at about
here's what I'm thinking for you bitches who are complaining that it's first person, I won't be able to see my character's ass. Well, in multiplayer, at least other people will see your character's ass, and you will see other people's asses.
That's America's ass.
I mean, yeah. So, thoughts?
Yeah. I'm very happy that they're going to go down the multiplayer route, but I hope it's multiplayer in co-op. sense. If they want to do a PvP as well, it's fine. But I'd love to just do the whole game, to be able to do the whole game from the beginning, but as co-op, so it's two people, rather than just have like. So, a prime example, one thing that scares me with the Avengers game that's coming out, that the multiplayer aspect is just going to be very select missions, not the whole game. So, I'm hoping they
Oh,
don't do
really?
the same with this one, like have it like select
Wait.
mission.
So you want it to
And,
be kind of like how Saints Row multiplayer was?
yeah, like that, just
Oh
from the
yeah, that is
start.
pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, I'd love it. Just from the start, both of you just going through the whole fucking game. Like Witcher, I would have loved Witcher to have been like that as well.
For The
Um,
Witcher doesn't make sense though, because it's a singular
no,
character
it
though.
doesn't. Yeah, because it's a singular.
By
Oh
the
look, there's
way,
America's ass.
that's America's
Oh, I
ass.
have to point that way on this stream, even though that's America's ass. You
Yeah.
don't want to see Greece's ass. It's fucking huge. Okay,
Hey, my ass is majestic.
I was talking about my ass.
No, my ass
Talk
is
about your ass.
majestic.
Yes, I'm sure it is
You can ask
majestic. Like,
around, okay?
you know, Chris Stapps is still there, so it must be majestic. Oh look, and there's Funko Pop's ass. Um, I only have Nightcrawler's ass, and he doesn't have an ass. He has a tail, which isn't even bendy. Hasbro, you cheapskates. Fucking
I mean,
assholes.
yeah, you should be able to like hang it from somewhere, like a monkey, at the very
Yeah,
least.
but you can't. It's weak. Look at it. Weak, weak. It's about to slip.
Not to
Anyway, back to
mention, it doesn't even
Cyberpunk. I know.
teleport.
No, it doesn't unless I throw him. But yeah, back on Cyberpunk. I'd love it if it was full on
Yeah, that would
multiplayer.
be
I
a
love.
very interesting option. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't mind playing with, well, actually, now that I think about it,
Who are you gonna play
I
with?
hate everyone, so why would I want to play with them? But yeah, I wouldn't
Yeah.
mind playing with some of the motherfuckers I'm, you know, not hating as much as the rest.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, me and Zam are one of those rare breed of people that EA is right about, which is like people just want multiplayer games. We don't just want multiplayer games, but we always want a game to have the option of being multiplayer if it fits within that game's ethos. And Cyberpunk would be a fantastic multiplayer co-op game, like really good, and not just two player, like four player. Will be dynamite.
Yeah, what I'm
So
fearing though is if you make the whole campaign co-op, would that limit you, or would it like nerf it? Like, I believe that if you're gonna have like four people playing at the same time the same mission, at least like amp up the difficulty perhaps, or it has to be,
oh yeah, of course. Yeah, you can't have it like
so there's still a
be
challenge
easy.
there.
Of course, have the option yourself to whether you want to up the difficulty or keep it basic or keep it fun or silly or whatever kind of thing. But yeah, it has to kind of, unless it's an entire DLC within itself that's multiplayer co-op. You know what? This CD Projekt Red company I like. They just be like, yeah, fuck it. Well, here's this like whole new game that's DLC and it's all co-op. They could go down that route.
Yeah, actually,
So
that would actually be a pretty clever idea too, cause I mean, if you're not into multiplayer, you can opt out. If you're
yeah,
into it, you can get it. I mean, and it gives you an extra expansion that you can play with your friends or the people you don't hate that much.
exactly.
Yeah,
So
I'd
yeah,
do that. Like, honestly, not I will buy the expansion, season pass or whatever they're gonna call it for Cyberpunk
yeah.
as well. Cause hell yeah.
Well, you get your money's worth with them. Let's be honest.
A lot more even, because release is gonna be released. There's gonna be
Not
free
more.
DLCs. Then on the
Yeah,
6 month mark, there will probably be a big DLC release. on the 1 year mark is gonna be another, and probably after that we'll get the multiplayer. So we're talking about they're going to be having about like over a year, like probably about 2 years to work on just the multiplayer.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I don't expect it to come out
so we're gonna be
for
getting
another year.
something good. Like it's a game that we'll be able to play for years to come, and
Yeah,
that's yeah.
I want some variation in the multiplayer. I don't want it to be like a first-person cyberpunk version of Grand Theft Auto. You know, I really want more than that. I want it more than just going around trying to shoot somebody. Um, I don't know what that variation is. I can't fathom it, but they need to surprise me when it comes to this particular game. I want this game to be different. I really do. You know, lots of people wax lyrical about CD Projekt Red. Um, I played The Witcher. It's a good game and stuff like that. Personally, the voice acting threw me off a little bit, but nevertheless, it's a good game.
Well, you don't like
And
his raspy, sexy voice.
I laughed every time he talked. Honestly, every time The Witcher talked, I was laughing my fucking ass off. Like his voice. He sounded like the guy who does
I
the trainer
mean,
voice guy on
you know
YouTube.
them Witchers, man. They smoke a lot.
No, but I just want to get back. I just want to get
Yeah.
back regarding the game. I just hope this is a good multiplayer. Also, I also know about them hiring people to do the multiplayer with them. But as far as I was concerned, when I heard that news, it just meant that this game is going to take forever to fucking come out. I mean, people are talking about it, but fuck knows when it's going to come. And
No, it's going to come in April 2020.
yeah, but then it's still coming out incomplete, isn't it?
No,
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 it's
no,
not.
no,
No.
no. It's
Not
going
gonna
to
be
be
there.
complete. This is why it took
No,
so many
you don't know
years.
CD Projekt Red.
So,
That game's gonna
okay,
come
fair enough. I'll hold my
out.
hands up.
Oh
but,
my god, Zam. I just explained it like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
get
but you
the...
said like 3 months and 6 months and all this.
No, yes, we get the release of the full game in April 2020. Then for
Yeah.
about a month or two, we'll be getting free DLCs for every week, like they did for The Witcher. Then on this,
Yeah.
about in 6 months, they're gonna release probably the first full expansion DLC, and on the year mark, another one.
Yeah.
Because that's the
Okay.
model that they're going for.
Absolutely.
So after that's done, then they're going to release the multiplayer. So the multiplayer is going to be 1 to 2 years after the original
Yeah, then that's an
release.
incomplete game, then, isn't it?
No, it's not.
No,
No, it's not.
Oh, 2 years after the game
No,
comes
no,
out.
you get a game,
Oh,
then you
because
get
the game
an
that you get.
expansion, then another
you-
expansion, and then
Okay, fair enough. The game's gonna be huge. All right, fair enough. But
Yeah.
2 years for multiplayer, that's a long time in gaming.
If you think, but like they have good player retention. CD Projekt Red. That's
Fair enough.
what they're banking on. They're banking on like good player retention kind of thing. Jason, any thoughts?
Nope, I don't play. I don't really like multiplayer games, and I don't usually play them. And I haven't really followed much on Cyberpunk, besides the fact that it is very breathtaking.
you cheesy motherfucker.
Fair enough. All
I'll
right,
be
that's that.
definitely
I'm
looking at
with
the game, some gameplay, looking at reviews before I part with my cash. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, 100%. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I've
Oh,
mentally
fucking
parted with my cash
you whore.
since the day they announced it, but that's
You don't take
that's
dust.
just me.
Okay. All right. On to the next.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. By the way,
Oh.
let's make it a no spoilery one, cause I haven't finished it.
Yeah.
Jason hasn't
What
watched
episode
it.
you on, Chris?
What?
What episode you on?
I finished episode 3.
Okay. All right. Okay. What about you, Roberto?
I haven't even started it, but it's okay. I don't care for
We
spoilers. so
shouldn't talk about spoilers, just the
Not gonna
overall
spoil
idea
anything.
of it. Because it's
Yeah,
I won't spoil anything
fucking
after episode 3 from
hilarious.
what I
I
can
love
remember.
it. I love it.
Yeah. So, for those watching the stream, The Boys is it was originally a comic book. I think it came out around about 2006. Our professor had never read the original comic book. It's written by Garth Ennis, who is just a fantastic writer. Really like, just really goes into depth with his characters. But we're going to talk about the series here. So it basically, there is a guy out there who goes after these like superheroes
Bad back to good
who are
again, and vice
misbehaving, yeah,
versa for
and not being
certain
very
characters too.
nice.
And
But
then you
it's
like
more like an
people who are
act of
considered secondary
vengeance.
characters who
You know,
became
there's a
mainstays,
reason why
and
he does
they
what he does. And in this series, the first series kind of concentrates on like a knockoff version of the Justice League. So you have like your Superman character, you have your Aquaman, and your Wonder Woman, and
Flash, Batman,
Flash,
even
uh,
Flash, Batman.
yeah, Flash, your Batman, all of that. And the show is just brilliant. Like, I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. It is just balls to the wall, funny as hell. The action scenes are like, are just hilarious or quite shocking to say the least as we go down the line. The standout character in it is the guy. Oh, bloody hell! I should have. What's his name?
Fuck. What's the name of the dude?
Or
Uh,
Homeland.
the Homelander. Yes.
Homelander.
Oh
Homelander.
God. What a
Yeah.
douche.
Oh,
What a
Homelander.
bulge.
Padded.
And the deep sass. The deep
Yeah,
sass.
he's crazy.
But he's such a douche.
But he is. He's a massive douchebag. But he is the best fucking character. As the series progresses, you're hooked on him. You forget about like you don't even give a shit about Carl Urban's character and that really bad Cockney accent that he puts on, even though he's
But
fantastic in
but
it.
but but I love him. Every time he says something that's English, I'm fucking swooning.
Fair enough. But for me, it's a terrible accent. But he's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. Carl Urban is just fantastic in everything he's in.
He's world
Um,
Yeah,
class.
I love
yeah,
him.
he's world
He's
class.
great.
Absolute world class. Look at his dread. Look at everything he's ever done. But in this, just Homelander deserves a BAFTA for his performance. It was just a
Stop.
brilliant. It's a show that as it
So
progressed,
far, I don't know. I want to punch him in the face or in the dick,
that's
whatever
that's
is more prominent, I suppose.
keep watching and you'll see. Um, I mean, one of the first scenes, which we don't need to, one of the first scenes is just the Flash runs right through the guy's girlfriend,
A-Train.
completely
Oh yeah.
obliterates her.
Like I remember when Bertie was watching that, and I was like side watching, like what the fuck is he watching? Like what the fuck? What the fuck? you know?
Oh,
Oh man,
yes,
but yeah, I love the music. Like okay,
yeah,
when London Calling came up, I was like, it was like one of these moments, like in Constantine when Anarchy in the UK was playing. It's like when the punk is coming in, you know some shit are gonna go down. I was
that's
happy. I was happy.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm content today. I have to say, I am happy.
It's really good. Like when we're done here, just carry on watching it, Christine.
Oh, I
Honestly,
will.
it's
I'm
Man.
binging this shit.
Man, now I
Yeah.
gotta watch it. Now
Oh
I
yes,
gotta.
you
it's
do.
you have to.
It's
You won't be
awesome.
disappointed.
It's awesome.
It's just
That
the
means I
best.
gotta figure out how to use Prime Video. I don't think I've watched anything on Amazon Prime.
I'll
Yeah,
just
you got
type in
Amazon
a
Prime, yeah?
search engine the boys, and then it'll pop up. Yeah, Prime Videos Amazon's user interface is garbage, but yeah, just check it out. It's only 8 episodes, by the way, for those wondering. It's only 8 episodes, and they fly by. You're so hooked, and I like that they did that, and I hope they do that for the second season as well. Just keep it to 8 episodes. There's no at no point are you watching this show and you feel like it's just all filler and padded and all that. It's just smooth. It has a good flow. You just
Yeah,
you
so
breathe
far
through
it
it.
feels great. Like
Yeah,
I haven't been bored watching it even for a minute. Like
no, you won't be.
it goes really really well. Like
I find the
yeah.
concept of the show to be fantastic. There hasn't been anything like it, or some people say certain things are close to it, like Watchmen and stuff. No, 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 no. This is very unique, and in
Oh,
a
he's a
way, it's kind of a
genius.
scary portrayal of what the world could be if we did have superheroes in our very superficial world that we live in right now, where everything's
Yeah.
about making a dollar. Um, Personally, I'm surprised that the superheroes let these corporations control them as much as they do. But that's how it is.
Yeah, it's how they make
But,
their money. It's their
yeah.
stock, their worth, how they're trending on like social media and all this kind of thing. It's quite a fascinating world that it's more like a corporate entity than it is just heroes being heroes, which is what makes what's her
Well, it's absolutely. I mean, like someone like, for instance, like the real Superman, for instance. He's always been, during the Reeves era, he was always portrayed as a good guy. Everyone fucking loved him. But the reality is, somebody like that on our planet, an indestructible human being, he would be absolutely frightening to everybody, no matter how fucking much he smiles. And
Yeah.
that's the reality of it. And I'm in a way they're kind of portraying that. Some people see through the facade, while other people, they love him because they look at him like a fucking deity. So yeah.
Well, that's the reality with Superman. If he was around, you'd have new religions sprouting up, treating him like a god. The military and the establishment kind of fearing him,
Hmm.
but
They were
and his
establishing that with
ego
Cavill,
would be through the roof.
where the Henry Cavill Superman, they kind of established that, and I kind of
Yeah,
appreciated that. I like a different angle that not everyone would love him. I like that angle. It was much more modern in how we see things,
yeah,
and yeah.
yeah. It
But yeah,
delves
the
into
boys, 5 out of
true.
5, by the way. I highly
Yeah,
recommend. I can't really talk about it too much without spoiling it. But yeah, it's the one of the best superhero shows you'll see. It's an
Yeah,
adult
it's
superhero
brilliant.
show. It's not
Yeah.
for kids. Definitely not for
Oh,
kids.
far from it. But
no,
it's
far from it.
brilliant. I think that.
And that's probably one of the reasons why I like it so much, because you don't get treated like a kid watching this. So
Exactly,
it's
Yeah,
very good.
yeah.
it
There's a lot
stays
of
almost
gore.
true to Garth Ennis's like original things. It just doesn't
By the
mollycoddle you.
way, correct me if I'm wrong, but so far there is per episode at least one really gory scene going on.
Now, tell me, Chris. Tell me.
I can't remember
Like I know
if in
the
every
first
episode.
episode was the one with the girlfriend. Second
Hmm.
episode was uh the guy from the freezer. Third
Yeah.
episode the weird face sitting thing.
Oh yeah.
Is that episode 3?
Yeah, that's episode
Yeah,
3.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so it's one really gory scene going on in each episode. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
it's
it's
Yeah.
really
it's
good.
marvelous. I love it. Like, but really, it just touches on the thing that if superheroes were actually a thing, they would be pretty much as shitty as humans are.
Yeah, yeah, and then there'll be no like clear cut
All
like
a
kind
variety
of
of different
villain.
personalities.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all have their oh. There's one coming up, Christine. You're gonna love it. It's with the Aquaman guy. I can't say anything else about it, but yeah, it's just brilliant.
This
Great
guy,
show.
I want to fucking. I want to
Hmm.
punch him through his
Yeah, keep
asshole
keep watching.
or
Yeah,
something.
keep watching. But yeah, so yeah, that's it really. I think we've covered all our main topics within
there
this
is
time.
there is
We
one
kept the
more
tangents.
topic.
Is there
Oh,
one more topic?
Yes,
what's
Okay.
that?
that's because this isn't a democracy, people.
No, it's a Christina CC.
Yes.
Yes.
Netflix changing model from releasing all episodes at once to weekly fucking releases.
Is this confirmed? Are they going to be doing it with everything?
I don't know, but why? This is the thing that made Netflix.
Yeah,
Why would they fuck it up? Especially now that there's so many other streaming services coming out.
exactly.
They're
It
not gonna
might just
keep
be a cost
subscriptions like
cutting
that. They're
maker.
gonna lose them,
Yeah, I
dude.
think so too. Like they can back out of a show if it's shit.
Yeah, it's going to be for cost reasons. I reckon they're going to do it because they're hurting. Netflix Netflix is hurting financially because they just keep plowing money in. But that's how a lot of these companies do it. They
Netflix, you
like,
know what? If the owners of Netflix weren't such greedy fuckers, if they just decided to put some of that money back into their shows, but you can see a Netflix budget a mile off. Yeah, they got so much fucking money, man. Invest it in your shows. Make them super, super glamorous. Yeah, you'll get the people coming back. Go on, Robbie.
they do.
No,
They
the
do.
Netflix every year has like every quarter reports losses.
Yeah,
So I mean
yeah,
Yeah.
I know that,
they're
Roberto,
putting
but they have got shitloads of money. That's what I'm saying.
yeah, but they're reporting losses, which means they're putting a lot of money into their shows because I mean, look at I mean, I'm sorry, like yeah, are they definitely lower budget? Yes. But I mean, I mean back in the Marvel shows and everything, they definitely put a decent amount of money in those shows.
Oh yeah.
I feel like they did.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Agreed.
Listen, the prime example of a really high budgeted show that they had is Altered Carbon.
Oh yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh, fucking
In
loved that
beautiful,
show. I loved it.
beautiful show. It was just brilliant, and they pumped something because you're watching and you're like, Jesus Christ, how much money is in this? The sets
I'll go with
Yeah,
that.
I want to
There's
see.
alone.
I honestly want to see
Well,
what they're gonna do with The Witcher. But now I'm fucking pissed because I was expecting it to be released all at once so I can binge it, and now I probably won't be able to do that if they're gonna do with this model.
yeah,
Because
it's
I
frustrating, but I
disagree with
think it's
it.
gonna be it's for cost reasons that they're gonna do it.
When they're going to implement this?
But yeah, but the thing is, the show
They
is
might not.
already shot. It's done. It's finished.
Yeah,
I
that's
think The
right.
Witch is going to come out with for binging for
Now,
sure.
what I mean for cost cutting measures is if there's a show that's got you hooked, is you're coming back each week for it, rather than that's the show it's out. Okay, now we have to move on to the next show, and then the next show. Like every Tuesday, every Friday, we have to keep releasing, and the cost man up. Like Jason said, they operate at a loss. Um, I don't even know how these people like fucking make money. The executives will always make their money and the shareholders will always make their money, but the company itself always operating at a loss.
You
That's
know,
just a weird
they
one
could
to me.
be instead charging extra for every person that has your fucking what's your fucking fuck uh password for Netflix. Like you can't give it out to 10 people. You gotta expand, buy a family version of Netflix
Yeah,
or
but at
something
the
like
moment
that.
you can literally just give your password to anyone,
Yeah,
and
I mean, yeah.
but that's what's good about Netflix. That's what I like about them.
well,
They're quite
and
cool like that.
so my brother's watching us on Facebook, and he brings up a good point. Is he's thinking, all of these people are going to, leave Netflix and thinking, oh, well, I'm going to go to Disney Plus and CBS All Access and HBO Max. Is it Max? HBO Max, I think. Whatever all
Yeah,
these other streaming services are, and then what they're going to do is people are going to realize, oh, well, kind of the Netflix format is kind of the best route to go because I mean, I think eventually, and this is my opinion, I may be completely wrong, but I think a lot of these shows are still going to wind up on Netflix eventually. I feel like I feel like some of these some of these streaming services are going to fold eventually.
yeah. Well, prime example. So, for example, over here, we Warner Brothers is not going to launch its streaming service over here. So, Titans is on Netflix.
Yeah,
And Justice is on Netflix over here. So, yeah, and eventually they will falter. At the end, the only ones that will end up standing tall, in my opinion, will
Disney.
be maybe HBO Max, Disney, Netflix, and Amazon, and that's it. I don't even think Warner Brothers will last.
If our
Which is
Netflix
sad
are
because
still
I
going
like
down
the
the
Disney universe.
if Netflix is still going down the comic book route, then maybe they should focus on more DC stuff. There's a plethora of stuff. I mean, they've already got a few stuff out there already. Maybe that's the route they can go down now. They've lost all their Marvel shit.
No, they don't need to. Honestly, Sam, they've
You don't
got
think so?
amazing original programming. That
By
you
the
don't who gives
way,
a fuck about comics in
Zam,
that regard.
I would like to see some DC sticks though. Personally,
are you
it'd
wearing
be
a
nice.
turtleneck?
amazing.
No, it's just zip there.
So so yeah, they don't have to worry about the comic book stuff. You know, they know what they were doing when they ditched the Disney stuff. Disney didn't make them do it, but you know, they see Disney as competition, so they're like, well, we're not, you know, whatever, we're not gonna promote our competition. So off that goes. But they have so many amazing shows and animations. They not even comic book related. They don't even need to be honest. But yeah, like in the UK, I think like even Disney might maybe struggle in the UK because people ain't got fucking money here to like burn on. Everyone's got Sky, and they just stick with Sky, and half people have Amazon, the other half
Well,
have Netflix,
now with the
and that's about
Brexit,
it.
you will have to pay it with spotted dick.
Well, this is it. You know, my Netflix went up £1 this week, as well, which I don't care. You know, it's £9. It's nothing. It's absolute peanuts. I'm happy to pay it because I literally binge on Netflix. I love Netflix. To me, Netflix is the gold standard for everything. You know, it's just the programming is how I like it. It's not mollycoddled. It's not restricted by the rules that govern fucking TV and its outdated notion. That's why nobody's watching it anymore.
And don't
But
forget the Netflix and chill.
exactly, there's Netflix and
The,
chill.
the
It's
most
not Amazon
important
and
one.
chill.
Yeah,
It's
it's not
not Disney and
HBO
chill.
and chill. Weirdly
Exactly.
enough,
Well, if it's Disney and chill, then you might want to make sure that everyone is of the age of consent as well.
Oh my god, you went there.
We're gonna do this or what?
All of a sudden, yeah. Oh, come on, what's my lightsaber?
Can anyone do Donald?
I used to be able to do Donald. I don't think I can now. No, I can't do. I can't do Donald Duck anymore. I used to be able to. Not a very good one.
I've actually got one more subject to bring up.
Go for
It's
it.
back to Spider-Man again. It's been pretty much rubber stamped now by Sony. No bullshit, no conspiracies, no hoping here, this, that, and the other. Few years down the line, Sony has said, "Fuck you" to Marvel, and they're doing their own thing.
We need to
Yep.
find their studios and burn them.
They've
It's
yeah.
weird in a way.
they've-
I was initially Team Disney. Then I got some more facts and I realized they agreed put them in the situation, so I jumped to Team Sony. But now Sony have put their foot down and they don't want to do. They're not looking. You know, like when it comes to the CEOs don't give a fuck about the fans. Basically, you know, no compromise at all. So unfortunately, we're not going to get what we want. And it's going to be interesting to see how Sony tries to retcon a Spider-Man 3 in a way that kind of continues from where Spider-Man Far From Home was, and doesn't tries to
Oh my
act like a sequel
God.
to that without incorporating any of the shit from that. It's going to be weird,
Ginge,
you know,
is
that
that- is-
universe.
Oh my god, he has a fucking fridge on wheels.
Yeah, right. Do you have any idea how modular my room is? My room, hang on. My room is so modular. Okay, I'll take this. All right, so fucking wires.
Oh my god.
So
Sorry, Sam.
this desk here, it folds down. It collapses into the wall. My laptop is on a table that's on wheels, so it moves around. I've got a fridge on wheels. Got my little table that I eat on. Everything in my room is modular to move around to make as much space to be tucked away as possible.
You know.
I'm a genius.
You care on wheels?
Place.
Oh
I used
my
to be a
God.
builder, for fuck's sake. So,
Okay, now
you know.
before I was so rudely interrupted by Chris being fascinated by a fridge, I was saying
Thanks,
I
Sam, go on.
was saying that, you know, it is going to be interesting watching a Spider-Man 3 from Sony. I think actually Marvel are hoping that Sony fucks it up. You know, that's my conspiracy. I've got no proof on that, but maybe that's what they're hoping. And then maybe
Well,
Sony will have to come back to the table. Maybe MCU fans will try to boycott this shit just to teach Sony a lesson. Who knows?
Who knows?
You know what I'm
Oh,
afraid though? That if Sony flops and then they try to get back on the table, then Marvel's gonna be like, no, bitch, too fucking late. Get the fuck off.
Give us
Cause they don't
40%
give
now,
a fuck
motherfucker.
about the fans.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, here's my
Sony.
thing is
Sorry, go on, Jason.
oh, okay. So my thing is I that's kind of, and actually Chris just brought up what I was just gonna say was we have the problem here of if Sony does think they can do it on their own, and this is where like I was kind of on Team Sony side because Marvel was trying to get greedy, or
Yeah.
Disney was trying to get greedy. But then I'm
Mhm.
looking at Sony, and they're saying that they can do a perfectly good Spider-Man without Marvel, and honestly, we've seen how that goes. So here's the thing. I mean, I I'm on both sides on this because I mean, if only they had Tom Holland only in the MCU. I don't need Venom. I don't need the Spider-Verse. I don't need any of that in the MCU. All I want is Tom Holland Spider-Man in the MCU. Sony can do everything else themselves. Venom was okay. Spider-Verse was fantastic. I mean, I think they have a potential to do some stuff, but now it's like I almost do want to be like, all right, I'll probably go see like the Spider-Verse sequel. I'll go see the Venom sequel. But when that Spider-Man 3 comes out with Tom Holland,
give me a minute.
I may not. And I hate to be because it sounds petty, but it's like I may boycott it
1 second.
because I
No
want.
problem, Sam, dude. Yeah,
Um,
yeah, Jason, I'm with you. I've said it in a previous stream. The only way I will go and watch a Sony Spider-Man film is if they do a live version of the Spider-Verse with Andrew, with the previous two, Garfield and Maguire coming into it. I might go see it then if it gets good reviews. But other than that, I have no interest. No interest. Don't care.
my only interest was like Tom Holland with Tom Holland was in the MCU. If they wanted, I mean, I do feel like they leaned a little bit too much on the Tony Stark side, especially in the first two Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
Or they leaned a little too much on the Iron Man side. You know, with them basically being Iron Man villains, but Spider-Man handled them. But at the same time, I was kind of like, I mean, I don't want like, but then Spider-Man was fantastic in Civil War and Infinity War and the little bit of time he was in Endgame. Like, I loved it, and I'm like, I don't want Tom Holland outside the MCU. I can deal with all the other movies outside the MCU. I don't want it to get cluttered like
Yeah,
that.
I agree
I,
with
I
that.
agree.
Although I did like the Iron Man facet of it,
I
because it made
I liked it
sense.
too. I liked it. I
made
liked it
sense
too.
for Spider-Man to get his super duper fucking suits from Iron Man. Like it just ties in together real well. Like the drag that it ties the room together. You know.
I mean,
You know,
they've established
Chinaman
a
being on it,
connection
but
from earlier films, so they've established a connection with Tony and Peter from earlier films. So in a way, it kind of made him his successor, and they've ingrained him so much into the MCU because of that. It would be nice to see where he goes from that. Unfortunately, we'll never know. Unfortunately, we'll never know. So that's how it goes.
No, I got it. Okay, so I believe that Disney and Marvel still have the rights to air less than 40-minute episodes with Spider-Man content. So here's what they do. They just start releasing on Disney Plus 39-minute long episodes with Tom Holland crossing over with all of these characters. And then if you watch it in sequence, it could be a movie.
No. Oh, man.
And like Tom Holland signs his own contract with Disney, and I'm telling you, it'd be.
I would love that. That would be pettiness on a level that I love. Yeah, I'm a very petty man, and I would love to see that.
By the way,
listen, Jason, you're in America. Start going give Eisner ideas then. Start telling that message Feige. Because they might not.
Honestly, unfortunately, Feige doesn't have any say in this. I mean, this is the like Feige's the kid playing in the toy box, and like the parents are talking on this one. You know what I mean? Like Feige has some influence, but I don't think he can like sway them. I think what's going to happen is Sony's going to screw it up even worse.
Creative guide than anything else, more than likely. But yeah, that would be interesting to see. But look, on the plus side, there's no
There is
plans for
one.
Spider-Man for a long time in the MCU anyway. So you never know. They might negotiate something. And if they don't, we've got Fantastic Four and we've got X-Men coming. So
We've got content coming out of our rear ends. Like honestly, we're gonna be fine without Spider-Man. It's just gonna suck without him.
it's just going to ruin the continuity.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
fill out of place. But, we'll get down to a point where we'll just be like, screw it.
Shit happens.
We'll just have Night Monkey instead.
I would ship that. I would so ship that.
Yeah. Yeah, just like Hom Tolland is Night Monkey.
I would watch it. I would go to the
Spider-Monkey.
theater. I would go to the
Yeah.
theater multiple times every weekend just to F you Sony on that one.
Yeah, that would be brilliant.
But technically, I think Night Monkey was created in a Sony movie, so technically it's under the rights of Sony. So I don't think Disney can do that. I know, right? I did think about that when I saw
I
that
don't know
meme.
I'm
Fuck it,
saying-
Spider Monkey.
I don't believe I'm saying
Spider-Monkey.
this. I don't believe I'm saying this, but I kinda want Disney to buy Sony out.
It's not
just because
happening.
of just
They're
They're
because
in
of
the relevant
Spider-Man.
studio, so fuck it, yeah.
Not over
Okay.
Spider-Man, for fuck's sake.
Yes, over Spider-Man. Like,
Yeah,
for
but
real.
that's
Think why would they do
Only
that?
produced outside of like Spider-Man. Bugger all, what Ghostbusters, Bad Boys, and the Emoji Movie. Ooh,
Never
So,
watched the
yeah.
Emoji Movie.
come on, Disney.
By the way,
your
just
thing.
want to quickly add to with Chris Eastman saying with the big release of WoW Classic today, all WoW servers were under heavy DDoS attacks. This is all being done by the same person that is DDoSing Wikipedia, Twitch, among many other services. Expect some real world headlines to come out.
How
You guys play
can a big DDoS attack be done by one person? Is what I want to ask.
Well, be a group of people.
Group of people, yes, but it's not one person.
Yeah.
Fair
So,
enough.
You know how I know?
All right.
I've asked about it. Not because I wanted to do it, of course.
Yeah. let's,
No, not at all.
no, no. All right, let's wrap this up. I think we've done a good.
Yeah, very good.
Right as we could. So let's wrap this up. So I want to go and carry on playing
Yeah.
Ghost Recon Breaking Point.
Thank you
That's
very
it.
much.
Yeah, do the
Thank you
outro,
all for
bitch.
joining us. We shall see you on the next not podcast, live stream. Bye, motherfuckers.
Bye.
Adios. Bye-bye.
Bye.